Welcome everyone to the fifth in our series of Grow with Google Bootcamp. We are delighted to have Pamela Starr, who has presented all of these for us. She is doing this one on reaching customers online with Google in the new year. It's kind of hard to imagine that it's almost the new year, but according to the calendar, that's true. So we've been showing you the objectives of this webinar. Let's get it started. Before we kick into Pamela's portion, I just want to tell you a little bit about SCORE. SCORE is a nationwide nonprofit organization that's a resource partner of the SBA, the Small Business Administration. We provide free, confidential business mentoring. You'll never pay for our mentoring, but it's priceless. It comes from volunteers. Our organization, which is the Minnesota chapter of SCORE, has nearly 90 volunteers, as you can imagine, with a diverse background. So if you need help in any aspect of your business, contact us for a mentor. Our chapter was recently named a chapter of the year. When can we help you in your business development? Well, literally the entire start to finish. We can help you pre-start. You just woke up this morning, you had an idea and you think it might have merit. Well, we could kick it around with you and see if it's something that might be successful. Or you've started a business and then you realize that you don't really know everything that you need to know. Well, that's where we can help you as well. Or you want to grow your business, or lastly, you want to sell or close your business. We have a team that will help you identify the value of your business so that you don't lose out any money. And then, of course, part of the selling and closing is buying. Are you interested in buying a business? Sometimes that's way easier than starting your own business. We encourage you to visit our website, which is minnesota.score.org. You can request a mentor there. It's as easy as clicking a button. I was sitting next to a fellow on an airplane recently, and he pulled out his phone and he applied for a mentor. I'm apparently a good salesperson. If you want to find other workshops to register for, I'm going to show you some of our upcoming workshops. You can easily go on here, click on find a workshop and register. You can locate podcasts. We've got all kinds of recordings of podcasts, and they are very informative. And then we have other resources. We have templates and other documents that might be of value to you. So again, minnesota.score.org, please consider going there. I wanted to tell you about some of our upcoming webinars. Next week, we're having a very important one, I feel, which is leveraging video. Video is becoming much more important on your advertising as part of it. I was just talking to a client yesterday, and she said that she just posted a video, didn't even boost it on Facebook, didn't put it in as an ad, and it was getting way more traction than the ads that she was having. So video is really the way to go. So Ellen Barton next week is going to tell us about that. Then we take off a couple of weeks for the holidays and kick back in January with me, Diane McKeever. I'm going to be teaching some Excel classes. One is Excel pivot tables. That kind of goes along with one that I recently taught about massaging data in Excel. And then on the 11th of January, 15 mind-blowing Excel tips. If you're interested in Excel and expanding your knowledge of it, it's going to be great. Then on the 18th, well, look who's back. We're looking forward to seeing Pamela again, making your website work for you in 2023. And lastly, intellectual property. I don't know if we've had one of these before, but all about intellectual property, you know, patents and trademarks and all of those terms that people kick around. We're going to define them for you. All of those, register at minnesota.score.org. All right. Went too far. One more slide that I want to talk to you about, and then I'm going to turn this over to Pamela. We'd like to thank our sponsors. Those are the folks that keep the lights on. You'll notice that many of them are banks. If you come in with a SCORE mentor, there is a good chance that they will listen to you a lot more than if you just walk in with your own business plan. And thank you for all of our community partners. This is being taped. I did turn on the record. That doesn't always happen, but I did turn it on, and you will be getting not only a copy of the video, a link to the video, but you'll also be getting all of Pamela's slides, and you can review them after the webinar. So you'll be getting that in the next day or two, as soon as it gets processed, which is what happens after presentation. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that Pamela can start sharing her screen. And that looks perfect.
All righty.
Okay, well, Pamela, thank you so much for coming. Take it away.
All right. Well, thank you, Diane, for that introduction. And welcome to everybody that is joining us here today on Zoom. My name is Pamela Starr, and we're going to be talking about how you can reach customers online with Google in the new year. As Diane just mentioned, the new year is right around the corner. So now's the time to be thinking about it. Just a little bit about me. I am a professional trainer for Grow with Google. That's the division of Google that provides all kinds of free education to people just like you. All of the Google presentations that I do are all hosted by a nonprofit organization that is a Grow with Google partner. And as you all just heard, of course, today's presentation is hosted by SCORE Minnesota. I work with SCORE chapters all around the country, and it's not that I have favorites, but I do really enjoy working with the team at SCORE Minnesota. They've got a very robust chapter with some really amazingly talented volunteers who are absolutely ready and excited to help you grow your business. So I won't talk more about SCORE because Diane already told you all about it. Now, we are here today, of course, to learn how you can leverage Google to reach more customers. So I want you to think really carefully about one important theme I'm going to talk about here today. And if you don't remember anything I say today, remember this. Your future customer is out there. They are going online to Google for one of two reasons. Either they have a question they need an answer to, or they have a problem they need a solution to. That is why your future customer is out there. So what that means for you is when you work on your website, you need to create a website that answers their questions or solves their problems. Now, you may say, well, I don't want to solve their problem on their website, on my website, because I want them to pay me. And you know what? The solution to their problem could be hire you to go ahead and solve their problem for them. And that's going to be a theme that I'm going to continue on in today's presentation. Here's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to go over briefly how the whole Google search process works. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about SEO, search engine optimization. I'm going to touch on your Google business profile. I'm going to talk also a little bit about online advertising with Google. Now, just so you know, my job is not to sell you advertising. Google does not pay me to do that. Google pays me to educate people just like you about all the ways you can use Google tools to help your business grow. And because I get asked a lot of questions about advertising, I like to cover it in this particular presentation. At the end of my presentation, I'm going to share with you some additional places where you can get even more free training from Google. So let's start off talking about how does this whole Google search process work? You may have heard people talk about algorithms or spiders or bots. Those are simply mathematical formulas that help determine what website is going to be offered to somebody that is searching for information on Google. At Google, we call it Google bots. I think just because it's kind of fun to say Google bots, but that's what we call it at Google. Now, whether or not your website is offered to any given person depends on hundreds of different factors. There is no one silver bullet. But what I'm going to talk to you about today are some things you can think about to try and reach not necessarily every human being in the planet, or even every single person in your local community. Who do you want to be found by? The ideal future customer who has a question you can answer or a problem you can solve. Now, first of all, whether or not your website is going to be offered to somebody depends on what that person is searching for on Google. Now, coincidentally or not, we call that person a searcher. That's what Google calls the person that's searching for information. I call that person your ideal future customer. Now, that person is going to Google and they're typing in their problem or question. You may have heard people talk about keywords, and keywords are these seemingly magical words where if only you had the perfect keywords sprinkled throughout your website would magically show up on the first page of Google. Now, obviously, it's not magic. It is mathematical formulas. Keywords absolutely are important. Here's something to keep in mind, though. People do not type one word into Google and press enter. People type phrases, they type questions, they type sentences. And the words your ideal future customer types into Google, that is going to greatly impact whether or not your website shows up. Let's say your company is irrigation, installation, and repair service, but the person types in how to fix a broken sprinkler head. All of a sudden, if your keywords that you have assigned to your website are irrigation repair, and they type in broken sprinkler head, that's kind of not a good match. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how you can have the right type of content on your website. So sometimes people will say to me, hey, great news, I'm on the first page of Google, I'm good. Well, just so you know, if I was to type in your business name in your city, hopefully you would be on the first page of Google. But remember, you don't want to just be found by people that know your business and are looking for your specific business. You want to be found by strangers who don't know you yet. Now, when I say strangers, I do not mean the creepy, scary kind of strangers. I mean those people who are strangers to your business right now, but will hopefully become your most loyal customer in 2023. So your number one job is to start to think about what questions or problems is that person likely to type into Google. Then based on what they type into Google, Google will offer them a whole host of resources. At the top of the page typically are advertisements, which is why I do like to include that in today's presentation. Underneath the advertisements are those organic search results. Those are commonly referred to as the free search listings. That's what everybody always wants to know about. How can they show up higher there? And today I'm going to give you some tips that may help with that. The other thing that people may see or they may not see, and again, it all depends on what they type into Google. They might see a business profile, or they might see Google Maps that has a list of business profiles. And in just a couple of minutes, I'll talk a little bit about the business profile. If you're not sure what it is or how it might work for you, I'll get into that in just a couple of minutes. Now, kind of behind the scenes, Google does not look at every single website on the planet every single time somebody types a question into Google. What Google does is periodically, Google looks at your website and stores snippets of information about the different pages on your website in what is called Google's index. You may have heard people talk about indexing your website or asking Google to re-index your website. If you've made a lot of changes to your website, Google may not even know that you've made changes. In which case then, you do need to ask Google to re-index your website, and I'll tell you how you can do that in just a couple of minutes. Then based on the words that searcher typed into Google and the snippets of information that are in Google's index, Google will offer that searcher those resources that, according to Google's mathematical formulas, give that searcher the information that they're looking for. And again, that could be advertisements, it could be the organic search results, and it could be the business profile. All of that depends exactly on the different words that person types into Google. Now we're going to get into a little bit about SEO, search engine optimization. Now, keywords absolutely are important when it comes to search engine optimization, but it is not the only thing. On occasion, people will say to me, oh, I can't do SEO, it's expensive. Folks, it is not expensive at all. Having the right keywords on your website doesn't cost you anything. Advertising costs you something, but having the right keywords and some of the things I'm going to talk about today, other than advertising, they don't cost you anything. SEO should not be expensive. Now, if you choose to hire some other organization to manage your website for you, then that's your business decision to do that. But you don't have to ever hire anybody to manage your SEO. You can do it absolutely yourself. Now, today in this first part of this presentation, we are talking about the organic search results. And that's kind of, as I mentioned, the ones that everybody wants to show up on the first page of Google for. What's interesting about the search results is Google, as I said, will store snippets of information about your website in its index. What Google will do is, according to its mathematical formulas, kind of try and rank websites where the first website Google offers to a searcher, according to Google's mathematical formulas, is going to be most likely to have the information that searcher typed into Google, what they are looking for. And then as you go down the list, the websites are going to be less and less likely to, at least according to Google's formulas, to have the information that person is looking for. A couple of things to understand about SEO is there are a couple of things you can do to help give your website the best opportunity of being found, again, not by every person on the planet, but by your ideal future customers. You can also do a better job connecting with those customers, and ideally, you can obviously increase some potential sales. Now, the first thing that I'm going to share with you right now is what Google has a starter guide. This has got a lot of really detailed information about SEO. You can find that at g.co/SEO starter guide. I will kind of give you a heads up that this is really detailed information. It may feel a little bit overwhelming when you get that. Don't worry about it. If you feel overwhelmed, just set it aside and you can take a look at it at another time. But if you really want to get deep into things, that's definitely the place that you want to go. I'm just going to pause here. I actually have some work being done in my house. So if you hear some background noises, that's banging or whatnot, that's what that's all about. Hopefully they'll stop pretty soon. All right. So when it comes to your website, content absolutely is key. Let's talk first about the content on your website. You want to be mindful of having a variety of different types of content. Now, I've been talking about keywords, and obviously keywords are words, but they are more phrases and sentences. Fun fact, how to is one of the most commonly searched phrases on YouTube, or excuse me, on Google. Most commonly searched phrase on YouTube as well. But how to is one of the most commonly searched phrases on Google. So what does that tell you? On your website, you might want to consider creating some content that is how to, then fill in the blank with whatever it is that you do. And think carefully. This is your good opportunity to think about what is the problem your future customer has. Let's say your business is you are a life coach. People out there may not at all be looking for a life coach. Maybe they've never even heard of a life coach. But what they're trying to do is figure out how to navigate this change or how to be happy as an empty nester. That is a problem somebody has that a life coach could potentially help them out with. And so that would be a great article that a life coach could potentially put on their website. Content is also things beyond just words. Content can be photographs or graphics. Content can be videos, although ideally you don't actually have the video embedded in your website. You want to host your video on YouTube and have a link to the YouTube video on your website. Content can also be different kind of tools or widgets or calculators. I call these things fiddle factors, meaning if you have something built into your website that people can fiddle with, that can really actually help with your search rankings. And here's why. First of all, when people go to your website, if there is some type of a tool for them, people are kind of like feel compelled to actually fill that out. And a great example of that is people that are in the real estate or the mortgage business. They are great at this because they always have things like home affordability calculators on their website. So if somebody goes to their website, pops up a home affordability calculator, what do? Of course, they're going to fill that out. That solves that gives two things that helps with SEO. One, that means that person is actually engaging with the website. It's taking some action on the website, which kind of tells Google, hey, people are engaged with the website. The other way that it can help with SEO rankings is it makes that person kind of linger on the website a little bit longer. And the amount of time people spend on a website also can help with SEO rankings. So for your particular business, you may want to think about, is there a calculator you could have on your website? Could you do a poll or a quiz? One of the trends I'm seeing a lot, especially with retailers, is 2 or 5 seconds after going to their website, a pop-up shows up with like a little spinning wheel and you need to spin the wheel and get a discount. I know sometimes those things feel gimmicky, but they are there for a very strategic reason. First of all, people feel kind of like compelled to do those things. Of course, I'll spin it. Also, it can really help you with your SEO rankings. The other thing that I want you to do is take a look at what you name the pages on your website. Most websites have kind of standard pages. You've got the home page, contact us, about us, sure, fine, whatever. Those are kind of on every website. But take a look at the other pages on your website and see if you can perhaps rename those pages using the types of keywords you think your ideal future customer is using when they're going to Google. So a lot of websites have pages that are called products, services, gallery. Personally, I have never gone to Google, put my fingers on the keyboard, and typed in the word products. Maybe you have. My hunch is you probably haven't. You probably wrote something a little bit longer. You probably wrote something about what is the product you're actually looking for. Maybe I'm looking for new towels for my bathroom or something along those lines. That's what it is that people are looking for. So be mindful of that. Now, Natasha just asked a good question in the Q&A. Natasha says, when you rename, don't you have to worry about redirects? So Natasha, if your website is linked to other people's websites, you do want to be mindful about changing the name of the page on your website if there are backlinks. And for everybody else, a backlink is when somebody else's website has a link to a page on your website. So Natasha, that's a good question. If after the fact, if you change the name, if you do have backlinks, those links will become broken. So just be mindful of that. So that's a great observation. The other thing that you want to think about with your website is the content on the pages of your website needs to be well organized. Now, this is a really mushy thing, and it's hard to explain what this might mean for every single one of you. But what I generally recommend is one thought per page. So here's an example for you. Let's say you are a dog trainer and you offer a variety of different types of dog training services. You offer videos that people can purchase from you so they can learn to train their dog themselves. You also offer dog training classes at the park in Sarasota. And you also offer in-home one-on-one dog training classes where you go into your client's home, you work with them and their dog. And then you also offer the ultimate, most expensive option, which is the people say, I don't want to train the dog myself. You go, you pick up the dog, you take them back to your location, you train the dog through 3 or 4 weeks. Then you return this beautifully trained dog back to its owner. The owner, hopefully you work with them so the owner knows how to reinforce the training. But those are actually four, excuse me, those are four different thoughts. Hang on a second. You can see I get so excited about organizing your website that I'm getting all choked up about this. But those examples, those are four different thoughts. So that really should be four different pages on a website. Because if somebody is looking for dog training classes near me, they may not be interested in videos. They may not be interested in paying thousands of dollars to have somebody else professionally train their dog, in their own location. They're looking simply for classes that are close to them. So the reason why you want to do this is twofold. First of all, if somebody is doing a Google search for something like dog training classes, Sarasota, if you have an entire page on your website that is devoted just to group classes in Sarasota, there's a better likelihood Google will offer that page on your website to that searcher because it's a really good match for what that searcher is looking for. The other thing that's good about that is when the searcher actually sees that page, the entire page meets what they want versus having all of your training classes on one page with different types of training classes. It confuses Google's mathematical formulas, and it also kind of confuses the actual searcher if they're looking for dog training classes. Well, the whole first part of that page is talking about videos. So that's why you really kind of want to think about one thought per page as much as you can. Now, we talked about keywords. So what I want to do is introduce to you one of my favorite Google tools that you can use to start to identify what is it people are actually searching for on Google. And that's one of the simpler ways of trying to identify good keywords for your website. This tool is called Google Trends, and you can find this at g.co/trends. This is a free tool. There's no account to sign up for. It's fairly straightforward. What you do is based on maybe the questions people ask you about your business, you can type in different words or phrases into Google Trends, and Google Trends will tell you relative to each other which words or phrases are more or less frequently searched for on Google. So in the example that I have on my screen here, we typed in two different things. We typed in boba and we typed in bubble tea. And what you can see here is the kind of reddish line that's at the bottom of my little chart that's kind of flat. That represents the percentage or the people that are searching for the phrase bubble tea, compared to the blue line that's much higher and actually spikes for some reason. That represents people searching for the word boba. So you can see that there's a big difference between those two words, which describe basically a product which is very, very similar. So this is what Google Trends can help you out with. It can also give you recommendations for other similar words that people also are searching for. This is called Google Trends for a reason. And that's because over the course of time, people search for different things. We are searching for one types of words here in December, on December 7th, 2022, compared to what we might be searching for in May. Also, over the course of years, we search for different things. In December of 2022, we're searching for one category of information, probably about the holiday season, compared to 2 years ago. Remember the gloomy days of December 2020, when we couldn't even spend our holidays with our friends and family and loved ones? People were searching for very different information back then. Oftentimes, people will say something to me like, hey, Pamela, 5 years ago, I was on the first page of Google. Today, I'm on page 8. I haven't changed anything about my website. How come Google doesn't like me anymore? It's not that Google doesn't like you anymore. It's that your website has not kept up with what other people are interested in, and other websites have done a better job at that. So Google Trends, I definitely encourage you to get to know Google Trends because it's a simple tool to use with really great information for you. The next thing that you want to think about is what is the speed of your website? Website speed is incredibly important to Google's mathematical formulas right now. Your website needs to have a fast load time. We all have the attention span of a gnat. And so if I'm trying to find your website on my itty bitty smartphone, and if your website takes forever to load, maybe it takes 4 excruciating seconds, you've got a couple of problems. First of all, people, real people, the person that is looking for your information may not have the patience to wait 4 seconds for your website to load. Also, the other problem that you have is Google's mathematical formulas know what your website load time is. If everything was equal, Google would offer a website with a faster load time, higher, and a website with a slower load time, lower. That's important. The other thing that is really important is your website needs to perform well on all browsers and on all devices, meaning it needs to perform well on Google Chrome. It needs to perform well on Safari. It needs to perform well on Firefox. It needs to look good on your Apple computer. It needs to look good on your client's Samsung tablets. It needs to work well on Dell. Do they even have Dell computers? It needs to work well on PCs. It needs to work well on everything. Fortunately, you don't need to test it out on all of those different devices and those different browsers. Google's got a great tool that you can use to test that out yourself. And that tool is called Google's Search Console. First, though, I want to talk to you about Google's mobile friendly test. Google has developed a new tool that you can use, which is also free, that you can evaluate what the mobile friendliness of your website is. And you can find that at g.co/mobile friendly. Just as a reminder for those of you that might have joined us a little bit after we got started, SCORE Minnesota is going to send you a copy of all of my slides, as well as, I believe, a link to the recording of today's video. You may not get that email until tomorrow, but you don't need to worry about scribbling down all of these websites that I'm telling you about, because you'll get a copy of the slides. But when you go to that particular site, you'll type in your website URL, and then Google will give you a report on its mobile friendliness. Now, that is another fairly straightforward tool that you can use. Now, Search Console, this is a really powerful tool that Google has to offer to you. This is another free tool. Search Console can help you better understand how Google's mathematical formulas interact with your website. Remember, I mentioned briefly earlier that Google stores information about your website in its index. And if you make changes to your website, Google may not know that. If you use Search Console, you can ask Google to re-index your website, meaning simply take a fresh look at the website and be sure that Google is storing the most current and up-to-date information about your website in its index. So that way, when people are looking for something, Google's mathematical formulas can say, oh, yep, it's right here on this particular website, and offer it to that ideal featured customers. Now, I will let you know that while Google Trends is super easy to use and the mobile-friendly tool is pretty easy to use as well, Search Console is a little bit more of what I consider to be Google Marketing 2.0. So if you're just getting started with your online journey, you may not be quite ready for Search Console yet. But if you have a little bit more history with online and with your website and you feel a little bit more comfortable with that, definitely get to know Search Console. And again, you can find that at g.co/Search Console. Now let's talk about your Google Business Profile. Everything I've talked about so far is about your primary website. That's your www. blah, 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 whatever that is. Your Google Business Profile is a completely different tool. This is a tool that businesses that typically see their customers face-to-face in their local community, businesses that do that can typically get a business profile, and there's absolutely no charge for that. The business profile helps you get showcased on Google Maps, as well as oftentimes just on google.com if people are looking for your specific business. Now, whether or not your business profile is offered to people when they're searching for something on Google depends on What is it they are searching for? In the pet training example that I was talking about, if there was a business that did local pet training classes in Sarasota, and they did a business profile that talked about how they offered local pet training classes in Sarasota, if somebody was searching for something like pet training classes near me, Google may offer them the business profile. The business profile is not a good tool for businesses that never see those pesky customers face to face. So if your business is completely maybe a Shopify store or an Etsy store or an Amazon store, and you want customers to purchase your items, in the middle of the night while you're sleeping, and you want to wake up and see all your new sales, but you don't want to ever see customers face to face, the business profile is not for you. So just kind of like to draw that distinction because sometimes people ask questions about that. If you do have a business where you see people in your local community, you can create a business profile by going to google.com/business. Now, I'm not going to go deep into how to create this tool in this presentation. I have a whole 1-hour presentation that I have done for SCORE Minnesota before called Get Your Local Business on Google Search and Maps. So you can go to SCORE's website, which is minnesota.score.org. Diane said earlier, the easiest way to get this information is to just go to their website, search for my name, Pamela Starr, and you'll probably see a copy of the recording of that. All right, Leanne just asked a question, is a business profile good for online coaching? Leanne, if you never see those people face-to-face, I know if you're seeing them online, you're doing online face-to-face. Basically, if you can't reach out and touch the person on the arm, this is not going to be the right tool for you because the business profile is the only businesses that are eligible for the business profiles are businesses that truly do work with their customers in their local community in person, not virtually face-to-face. So hopefully that clears that up. For the business profile, it's important to understand this is not a set it and forget it tool. This is something that you do want to keep up to date and fresh, especially as we are getting into this time of year. We're past Thanksgiving. We're getting into, the December holidays. Maybe your business really focuses on Christmas. Maybe it's super busy. Maybe you're a retail store. Maybe your business completely slows down during the end of December. Maybe that's the time you give all of your employees time off for vacation, or maybe you just want to take some time off, which many people might want to do. So it's important that you let people know what's going on in your business right now through your Google Business Profile. You can add lots of photos. You can add videos of up to 30 seconds to your Google Business Profile. You can also link other tools to your business profile if you use some type of appointment booking software. If you are perhaps a hair salon or a chiropractor and you use something like Booker or Booksy or Mindbody, you can attach that to your business profile. But you do want to be sure that you keep it fresh. A couple of other things that you can do with your business profile is you can use it to really engage with, and Google always says engage with customers. What I like to say, and I know it sounds creepy, but I promise it's not, you want to engage with strangers. You want people in your local community who have a problem that you can help them with. You want them to discover your business profile, and you can engage with them. You can do that by uploading posts to your business profile and letting people know what's going on in your business right now as we get into the middle of December. That's where people can write reviews about your business on Google. You can read, manage, and respond to your reviews through your business profile. And your future customers can also send you direct messages through your Google Business Profile. So there's a variety of different ways you can engage with those strangers that hopefully will become your customers all through your Google Business Profile. Again, this is a perfect tool for people that typically see their customers face-to-face in person in your local community. All right, so everything I've talked about so far is free. I love talking about free. Kind of makes me feel like, YouTube, or makes me feel like Oprah. I'm now going to talk about advertising, which is not free. Bill, I see, just put in a question, which is why I said YouTube, because I was reading and talking at the same time. Bill says, can you use the profile to drive traffic to the YouTube channel? Bill, you can do that through posts. Also, in your description, in your business profile, you can let people know in the description that you have a robust YouTube channel. Just remember, Bill, that on YouTube, you probably want people from all over, and the business profile will only be found by people in your local community. But it is just another great way to drive people to your YouTube channel from your local community. So that's a great question, Bill. All right, so again, everything I've talked about so far is free. Now we're going to get into advertising. Advertising is not free. And I've been doing this type of presentation for Google for 5.5 years. And way back when I started, I learned to draw a very clear distinction about what's free and what's not free, which is why I like to kind of focus on that. Now, the good thing about advertising, though, is advertising does show up at the top of those Google results. Sometimes people will say to me that they insist that they must be on the first page of Google. How can I possibly always be on the first page of Google? Well, if you want to be on the first page of Google, advertising is one of the ways that can help you show up with your advertisement on the first page of Google. Now, what's nice about advertising is it can help you be found by people who are ready to buy your products or use your services. That's people go to Google because they are looking for solutions. If you create an ad that promises them you have a solution for them, you've got a great opportunity of getting their business. Now, the ads on Google either show up on the Google search results or on partner websites. And those are things like other people's websites who have opted in to have advertising show up on their websites. If you've ever gone to like any of the local media outlets, websites, the local news, the local newspaper, local radio, they always have all kinds of ads on their websites. So that's what we mean by partner websites. What's nice about this type of advertising is you get to control the budget. My background is actually in traditional advertising. My undergraduate degree is in advertising from Florida State. And it was a couple of years ago, we'll say, that I got my bachelor's degree, and we learned all about reach. With traditional advertising, television, outdoor, radio, print, you typically pay for the number of people that the advertising company is offering your ad to, whether or not those people really care. With this type of advertising, it is what we call pay per click, meaning you don't pay Google for showing your ad to people. You only pay Google if somebody expresses an interest in your ad by clicking on it. So that's why it's called pay per click. Now, there are two different versions of Google Ads. There's kind of what I call full-blown Google Ads, which is very robust, which it can get a little bit complicated. For first-time advertisers and for small business, Google has a streamlined advertising version called Smart Campaigns. So I'm going to walk you through really briefly how the whole Smart Campaigns process works. Let me flip back a slide. Hang on. When you want to go ahead, there we go. When you want to go ahead and build your first ad, you would go to g.co/ads, and that's where you would go. As soon as you get there, the first thing Google will ask you is, what is the goal of your ad? And I know the goal of your ad is to make more money, sell more stuff. But one ad has to have one specific goal. And you've got 3 choices here. Is the goal of your ad to get more people to call your business? Or is the goal of your ad to get more people to go to your website and take some action there? Buy your product, schedule an appointment, or something like that. Or if you have a brick and mortar business, like a restaurant or a retail store, is the goal of your ad to get more people to visit your physical location? One ad, one goal. Now, I know more people are putting questions into the Q&A. I am keeping my eye on the clock. Diane, I'm not able to linger a little bit long in today's presentation just because I have another one right after this presentation. So I'm going to hold the questions kind of until the end of today's presentation, just so I can get through all of the content. Now, if you already have a business profile, you can link that to your ad. And Google will start kind of collecting general information about your business into the Google Ads account. If you don't, you simply then would type in the name of your business. After that, then, if the goal of your ad is to get people to visit your website, you would put in the appropriate page on your website that you want people to go to. Folks, it might not be the homepage. In fact, I'm going to go on a limb and say it probably should not be the homepage. Remember, people go online to Google because they've got a problem or a question. Your ad needs to be a promise. You need to promise people you're going to answer their question or solve their problem. Where you send them on your website needs to be where that solution is. And it could be buy my product, schedule an appointment, book a consultation, what have you. So that's why one of the mistakes I see a lot of people make is they just send people to their homepage. The homepage says nothing. So be sure you're sending people to the right page of your website. Google will let you know what people will see when they get to that page. And so you might look at that and say, oh, wait, no, that's not right at all. You may need to create a special page called a landing page. Diane and I were talking about landing pages before today's webinar started. She actually said that there was another presenter that did one recently just about landing pages, and you can get that information on the Minnesota SCORE website as well. So doing an ad to send people to a landing page, great idea. After that, then you write your ad, and Google will walk you through. You've got a couple of lines for headlines, a couple of lines for a description. Remember, your ad is a promise. You are promising people you are going to help them. Just the fact that your business exists doesn't help anybody with anything. So think of what is their problem, write an ad that promises you are going to solve their problem, and you're going to have more success with that particular ad. Based on the ad that you wrote, Google will offer you what are called keyword themes. Now, I've mentioned keywords a couple of times in today's presentation. Keywords work just like they work with your website. They also work with your advertisements. So be sure when you write your ads, you use the types of words that you think your uninformed future customer is likely to search for when they go to Google. They may not be looking for chiropractic care, but they might be looking for neck pain relief. Or they may not be looking for a life coach, but they might be looking for goals for 2023. So think about that when you are writing the ad. Next, you choose the geography where you want your ads to be showcased. And you have some options here. If you have a hyper-local business, maybe you're a dry cleaner, and you know customers are only going to come 5-10 miles away from your business, you can set a mile radius for your business. Or you can set certain areas. You can define different zip codes, different cities, different counties, different states. You could say the entire United States. If you are here in Florida, like I am, like Diane is, and of course it's beautiful weather right now. Oh my goodness, this is our reward for July. If you are in the tourist business, you can set the geography of Michigan or Chicago and only have your ads shown to people in other places to encourage them to come visit you in January when our weather is going to be fantastic. Their weather is going to be, we'll just say different, probably not as nice as ours. So you've got a variety of different options with the geography. The next thing that you get to do is you get to set the budget. And this is one of the things that I love about this type of advertising. There are no contracts. There are no minimums. You have total, complete control over the budget. Google will give you recommendations for what other similar type businesses tend to spend, but you get to choose how much money you want to invest. Now, if you're just getting started with advertising, I recommend you start with a smaller budget rather than a bigger budget. And here's why. It can be hard to write a winning ad the first time out. What I don't want you all to do is on January 1 say, this is my year. I'm going to go big with advertising and really kick off the year with a big blowout and get all these new customers, only to discover that maybe the ad that you wrote wasn't giving you the results that you want. So go in with the thought process of you're going to test an ad, let it run for 3 or 4 weeks, see what types of results you get, knowing you probably want to revise your ad, let version number 2 run for 3 or 4 weeks, knowing you may need to revise your ad again. It may take a little bit of trial and error to come up with the right message that's going to give you the results that you want. And I'd rather you go through that with a smaller budget. That way, when you get the message that gives you the results you want, then you can decide if it makes sense to increase your budget. So don't feel like, oh my gosh, I need to spend a lot of money and I don't know what I'm going to get. Start small and work your way to getting the right message. Now, you'll go through all of that before then you go ahead and launch your ad. A couple of more things about the ads that are nice to know is you can create different types of ads. You can do more than one ad. Although if you are using smart campaigns, we do recommend that you kind of stick with one ad at a time. The other thing that is good to know is you can schedule the days and the times that you want your ads to run. So let's say the goal of your ad is to get people to call your business. You obviously only want the ad to run during your business operating hours. Conversely, I did this presentation a couple of months ago and somebody typed into the comments that they worked for a nonprofit that did emergency mental health therapy or something like that. And as many of us can probably know, at 2 o'clock on Sunday morning, that's when we're lying in bed awake and, everything seems dramatically wrong. That is when they wanted their ads to run because they said that that's when people needed them the most. So you've got a lot of flexibility over the day and the time of when your ad is going to be run. Now, obviously, if you want the goal of your ad is to get people to visit your website, then your ad can be run at any particular time. So that's just a little bit of information about how advertising can potentially help you reach your ideal future customer in 2023. Now, I've given you a ton of information. I'm keeping my eye on the clock, and I know we've got questions, and so I want to go through some of the questions. But first, I want to give just a real quick recap. There are 3 ways that you can potentially reach customers online with Google in 2023 through advertising that I just talked about, through those organic search results, which is something that all of you hopefully can really focus on for the new year. And then if you have a business where you see people in your local community, the business profile would be a good option for you. Again, you'll get these slides a little bit later on today or tomorrow. It takes a little bit of time to process the video and that type of thing. But when you get the slides, this particular slide has got all the links on it that I've talked about with all of the tools, so I won't get into that. Now, I do have one more free thing for you, and this is from me to all of you. As I said, I've been talking about technology marketing tools for a very long time, and people always ask me the same questions. Hey, Pamela, where can I get free stock photography to put on my website? Hey, Pamela, where can I get free stock video to use in some of my videos? Hey, Pamela, do you know any free graphic design information? People are always asking me for free resources. So I put together a whole list of free resources that have nothing to do with Google. And I put that in an email. I'm going to put a link in the chat right now from me to all of you. If you're interested in this list of all of these free resources, just click on the link in the Zoom chat if you're watching this live. And there's a place there where you can request to get these free resources from me via email. I use Constant Contact for this. So you should get that, as soon as if you fill out the link. David, I see you gave me your email address in there. David, I need you to click on the link I just put into the chat. You will get that email. Assuming you click on the link in the chat, you will get the email from me probably before the webinar is over. If there's anybody that is watching the recording afterwards, and you don't have the link in that chat, you can get that information on my website, which is PamelaStarRonline.com. You can request it there as well, or you can scan the QR code that is on the slide here too. Finally, if you can't remember anything I have said to you in any of these webinars I have done with SCORE Minnesota, what you can do is go to google.com/grow. That is the hub of all of the information Google has to educate small business professionals just like you. And that's where we've got more videos, more training resources, everything that you need to know to use Google to grow your business. All right, so I'm going to go through in the next 5 minutes here some of the questions that we have. Sarah says, can you set up a national business profile? Sarah, no. The business profile's intent is to have you be found by people in your local community on Google Maps. So somebody, say, Sarah, I'm assuming you're here with us in Florida. If somebody in California was looking for a business like yours in your local community, they could look for that and find you. In the old days, pre-COVID, Google put me on an airplane and flew me all around North America. Before I would take my trips, I would frequently do stuff like that. You know, what are good restaurants in Mountain Home, Arkansas? And I would look at their business profiles, you know, from my home here in Florida. So people in other areas can find you, but only if they're looking for you directly. Next question is, can you have two business profiles for two separate businesses? The answer is technically no. In Google's world, one person should only have one business, which means they should only have one business profile. What we recommend you do is if you have two different businesses, you need to use two different addresses for them. Even if it's run out of the same address, you can try. Doesn't always work, but it might work. If your address is 123 Oak Street, the first business address could be 123 Oak Street, Suite A, and the other address could be 123 Oak Street, Suite B. Try that to get two different business profiles for two different businesses. Catherine says, can you offer a holiday gift to purchase from a home visit on advertising? What about on the business profile? I'm not sure what you're talking about, a holiday gift to purchase a home visit on advertising. On the business profile, you could do a post and let people know if you have a special offer. You can do that on the posts. In your advertisements, if you wanted people to purchase something, you would still need to send them someplace to a landing page on your website. So hopefully that kind of answered that. All right. Next question, if the business is hybrid, offering courses through Zoom and in person, is the business profile helpful? It can be, assuming that you're trying to reach people in your local community. If your local in-person classes are, if you want people from all over the United States to travel to you, the business profile may not really be that helpful for you. Remember, for everybody, the intent of the profile is for people in your local community to find you. All right, next question. Okay, this is a long one. So Diane, don't make it go away until I finish reading it. I can't read and talk at the same time. Okay, part of my business is nationwide, but we also have local services that we offer into our community. My website designers, we cannot market my website nationwide because there's no way of doing that. Okay, there's two, be sure that you understand, Pantia, exactly what they're talking about. Your website is your www.yourbusiness.com. You can market that absolutely nationwide. You can market it internationally. Anybody, anywhere can find your website. What my guess is your website designer might be talking about your business profile, perhaps. Your business profile, you would not market that nationwide. There is no way of doing that. So you might want to just have a clear conversation to see what they're talking about. If they're talking about your website, absolutely, you can market it nationwide. Your business profile, no, that's only in your local community. Kristen, would I suggest a yoga studio, fitness studio using website sales or physical location? If you're referring to, would I suggest? If you're asking, what do I, Kristen, let us know, are you asking what my opinion is about your business model? If that's the case, that's a question for a SCORE mentor. If you're talking about advertising, you could do it for either one. You could send people to your advertisements, or you could let people know about your physical location. Kristen, maybe a little bit more clarity, because I don't fully understand what the intent of your question was. Tammy says, does Google have any plans to create something similar to Google business profiles for virtual businesses? Tammy, if I knew what Google was planning, I would be a very wealthy woman. I do not know. My gut, though, is no. I mean, the whole point of the business profile is to help you be found by people in your local community. It would be great if they could do that for virtual businesses, but I have not heard of any plans for that. All right, Maria Luisa says, I have a Google Ads account, but I don't see those dialog boxes I showed. It can be very confusing for ads. Maria Luisa, what I am guessing is you are in kind of what I call experts mode, which is kind of like full-blown Google Ads, which absolutely can be confusing. What you can do, Maria Luisa, when you go into your Google Ads account, you may see like 6 different boxes that asks what type of ads do you want to create, search, video, something like that. I believe one of those options may be smart campaigns. That's what you want to click on, and that should then pop you into the experience that I showed you here today. All right, Catherine, you said you offer a home coaching service. And now I forgot what Catherine's other question was. So Diane, maybe if you can, I don't know if you can resurface Catherine's other question.
Yes, going to the website or going, setting up an appointment, I believe. Let me just.
Okay. Next question here. All right, Kefi says, we're trying to set up our neighborhood business association listing. It's already listed as Southside Village, which is the neighborhood, but we can't control it as it's auto. Okay, Kefi, if you're talking about your business profile, a neighborhood business association wouldn't really, well, if it's like a merchant association, you could have I guess you could have a business profile. That's, if you're talking about the business profile, it's really just not a good fit for a neighborhood business association anyway, unless you truly have a brick and mortar location. What you can do is, if you have access to the back end, you can go into the info area on the back end of the profile and change the name. Just be sure that you know how to access the back ends of that particular business profile. Okay.
This is Kristen again with it's for her ads.
Okay, Kristen, what I need you to do, I need you to just retype the entire question, because what's happening is after we answer the question, it gets disappeared and my brain is like switching to other people's questions. So Kristen, if you can just rewrite your entire question into Q&A, that would be super helpful.
Scroll down, Pamela. I think Kristen has done that. Sorry about that.
Okay.
As far as the ad goes, would it make more sense to use an ad for website sales or physical location?
Well, okay. Well, you could do both. It depends on what your business model is. I mean, you could do one ad for website sales, and because you're the yoga fitness studio, if I recall correctly. Yeah. So maybe you sell yoga mats, maybe you sell packages. You could do one ad for that, and you could do a different ad for come and visit us. Again, that gets into kind of like marketing strategy or advertising strategy. That's a great conversation to have with a SCORE mentor. Now, again, the SCORE mentor may not be an expert in how to use Google Ads, but the SCORE mentor can absolutely help you figure out what's the best way for you to market your business. Do you want to focus on marketing your website, or do you want to focus on marketing your physical location, or what's the best way to manage both of those? So that's a little bit more of a strategic type question, and definitely reach out to a SCORE mentor about that. Okay, let's see.
I don't know, anonymous in Google Maps, to be specific. I don't remember anonymous having a question.
Yeah, I don't remember that one either. Okay. Okay. Lisa says thank you. Okay, so I think we addressed Kristen here. We addressed Kefi. All right, so I think that takes us through all of the questions. There's some odds and ends, but those are people just kind of like following up with the questions that we have.
And they're gone.
That we put in there. Okay, so Catherine's saying, can it be an ad for your business profile? Can it be an ad or my business profile, or both? You can do both. I mean, your business profile is your business profile, and an advertisement is an advertisement. They kind of are unrelated. So you can do whichever one you want to do. The business profile is free. Advertising is not free, Catherine. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. All right. So I think that winds us down. We are now 5 minutes over, and I apologize for that. I do need to scoot because I've got something else that it is that I need to, another group I need to take care of. I appreciate all of your time you spent here with me today. Diane, I know you've got a couple of final comments, so I will stop talking so you can do your final comments.
Thank you. But more importantly, thank you so much. Your information is always valuable. And yes, you'll get all the slides, you'll get the video. And I've promised, in fact, I'll clean up the chat and include that because there was a lot of good information in that. We're encouraging you to visit our website, minnesota.score.org. There was a wonderful webinar last week by Jeremy Petty. Do a search on it, and they'll talk more about landing pages and the value of those. We've got a plethora of information on our website. Whether you want to volunteer as a mentor, we'd love to have you. But you want a mentor, we'd love to talk to you. Check out our other workshops, podcasts, and online resources. And thank you so much for coming. You will be getting not only the email with the links, but also an email from National saying, what can we do to improve our webinar? Certainly not a better presenter because that's impossible, but are you interested in other topics? Please let me know. I happen to be the education chair. I'm the person that reads them. So I would love to find out what you need to know to help your business. That's what we're here for, is to make you successful. So thank you all for coming. And I'm going to end the webinar right now. So thank you all for coming. This has been great. Thank you, Pamela, as always. Very, very informative. Have a great holiday season, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon. I hope you come to another webinar. Bye.